Good morning. A new chapter has begun because you decided to lock in. We have the Ace of Pentacles, followed by the Judgment card and the Death card for current energy. And what's influencing this, you have the Five of Pentacles in reverse. Oh, wow. The Knight of Cups, the Eight of Cups that was paired with the Empress. When I was shuffling, these came out together. And this is where I see the locking in, because I need to start with this Eight of Cups. And we know that Eight of Cups can talk about us recognizing it is time to remove ourselves from a circumstance, and especially by choice, right? And it can be like overall theme is like a form of emotional maturity, because we are recognizing and we're taking action and we are choosing typically what is best for ourselves. So with this Eight of Cups in this reading, what I'm picking up from it is like abandonment and the ability to really participate in it in a way that can feel like that to you or others, and you still push through. So if it's not abandonment, that's the word, maybe it's escapism. Okay. And what I find fascinating about it being paired with this sign of fertility, the flower, is that while flowers can be signs of life, the spring comes, there's, life is, reanimating back on earth, right? It can also be a sign of death. Flowers, especially like a peony here, they don't have a long lifespan, especially when we snip them. Right? We know that there's a fixed period of time before it's eventually going to wilt and wither away. And flowers have multiple purposes, is the point. It has more than one way of being experienced in the world, whether you view it, whether you can smell it, whether you can identify it, whether you gift it. You decide to plant it in your home, you decide to tattoo it on your body. There's so many different meanings and symbols behind a flower alone and across cultures, across the world. And I feel like why many of us are now okay with walking away, detachment, abandonment, or even like an escapism that you're kind of locked into, like intentionally locked into, versus you calling it delusion, or maybe you want to call it delusion if that helps you. But it's like, the reason why we're doing this is because it's so natural for us to want more. And the more that you study this, the more you get it, the more you are allowing yourself to push through and experience the other side of the circumstance. That pushing through ultimately allows us to start seeing positive changes, to start moving in, instead of a negative direction, a positive direction. Because the Knight of Cups is romancing life, right? And wants to explore so much of life. That's why you see this dolphin has broken through the water. The natural habitat is this domain, the water. But I also can explore the air. This is the natural part of us that wants to explore. And I feel like there are some stories and like narratives and pathways that we are interested in entertaining. Maybe there is one in particular that we've kind of locked onto in our mind. Maybe it's even a version of us, an identity of us that we've locked onto, that is coaching us, promoting us, or that carries us ourselves in a good light. This is not even just like main character energy, right? Where it's like, I have to be the star and things are happening to me. Not that. It's more like, I just feel good about how I'm thinking about myself now. Or if it's not good, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better that I'm having more positive influences in my life. Maybe I feel better that I'm being seen now. Even if it's temporarily seen, the impact feels very intense. It's big. It feels monumental. It's a major arcana. This visibility, even if it doesn't last long, or it's for a fixed period of time, even if it's that fixed period of time is a timestamp, right? It's like, it makes me feel seen. It makes me, that cycle of life and death, that cycle of starting and ending feels more comfortable to me. And I feel like I can keep pushing through. I think you just have a lot of inspirational voices, influences. More of the content is supporting you and the choices that you're making now here. Because this life, this new chapter, it's one where it's natural for you to kind of implement judgment, if I'm going to use that term, implement judgment on what's before you, on the circumstances. It's both of these cards here, these model a type of rebirth. And so when I say judgment, I'm using that term because, I mean, we're going to keep running into the word, even during readings, because it's in tarot decks, right? But it's like remodeling our experience of what it means to assess, and especially what it means for us to be assessing it. Because as I say, if it's in your perception, it's like there's a form of participation, right? And taking accountability of that may be the new chapter for a lot of us, is that we're navigating through the world with a much more positive expectation of us. I really do get a sense that we're not trying to control anything that clearly like feels beyond us right now. In fact, this could even be talking about a type of, if we're looking at assessment and the judgment can promote, I mean, look at here too with the snake and the leaving of the skin. This could be talking about a type of purging, if I may use that term. Purging that we are engaging in, especially like, well, first of all, look at the air right here. We're like starting up here. But we could also be tangibly getting rid of some things. Could even be making some money based off of selling some items, or maybe even offering a service where you are using your gift of discernment, to connect with others, because connection is clearly very important here, especially the Empress is showing up. And I talked about how the flower has multiple purposes. A lot of you are understanding about yourself. You have more to offer. You want to explore the multifaceted self. There's something about you don't want to die not having lived. So you could be now presenting yourself in a way where I'm going to use a term, it actually puts to rest an old version of you. You might even take an action that absolutely confirms this is who I am, because I just made that choice to be this person. And it's very clear to you that you do that. And the new chapter is you accepting that this is where I am right now. This is where I am right now. For some of you, it's being able to say, you know what? No, the truth is that maybe when it comes to finances, I am broke right now. I'm asking for help. And letting go of being the person who never asked for help, that could be something. But I also have to pull out here, the Judgment card, it can also be a card of like a lot of downloads. Okay, looks like, so I wonder if this is also talking about more access, because like gateway here, right? So it can be like a computer or machine, new jobs for some of y'all. But access to more data, access to more information, or we are utilizing technology. Stay with me here. We're utilizing technologies. Maybe AI is important. We might be helping it. You know what? I've seen some people do this, and I don't see why you should shy away from this if you're interested in this. But if you want to like craft a narrative or assist in supporting like the new identity and reality, maybe asking the types of things, actions, plans, and so on, utilizing free like AI services, they can like always like help you with certain prompts, and they can also even encourage you to kind of push your thoughts and really help thread parts of your imagination together. So I'm seeing like using technology as an assistant to help present to you into this world. And speaking of that, like that could be like actual tools or even procedures, because this death card could be talking about anesthesia. This could be talking about like a really important procedure for some of you. I need to point out this, I'm seeing the 20 and the 13 here, and I took note of the number 7 between these major arcanas. So I'm wondering if 7 years is important, 7 days may be important, maybe even 7 hours. Okay, but the number 7 of all these numbers that are here feels the loudest, so I have to point that out. And I want to point one thing out about 7 years. About usually by the age of 7, when it comes to our development, that's about the time that we have a pretty concrete belief system. So I think what a lot of us are doing here is that we're realizing that we are actually possibly going back to an original belief system, one that encourages curiosity. How am I holding this? Okay. Yes, sorry. One that encourages curiosity. I think I'm holding it wrong anyway, but it encourages curiosity. There you go. And it promotes you continuing to kind of again stay above water when things get a bit rocky, because there is a desire to have a more positive outlook. You don't have to be like disgustingly positive or like do that toxic positivity where it's like we just ignore everything that's happening. No. What makes it so positive is that you're capable of navigating through the circumstances. So there is a different air of participation because you are choosing to lock in to this new narrative, this new version of self, or to really start believing yourself again. If you have been a person who has, you're like jack of all trades, or maybe you have so many of these incomplete projects, you might be turning around what what being the jack of all trades means. You might turn around that narrative, and instead of seeing if you've seen it as a negative because there's so many incomplete things, and maybe it's created some type of clutter in your life, maybe communications, maybe literal clutter. I do think that you are becoming more of an ingenue and figuring out a way to detach from these items, or even detach from the pattern that even promoted you creating environments like this, that created more debt than it did, let's say, prosperity. There's one more thought that's coming to me here. And it's about debt. There's definitely some type of resolution that pops in, because it could be talking about an influx of money that we can start to see. And I want to go back to a lot of you might be offering a service that you get way more way more customers or way more attention than you think. Okay, there could also be like an increase in the algorithm for you or numbers, but I'm sensing like this is definitely the start of debt resolution. And if we've been talking about kind of turning inwardly and like a lot of self-love, we may actually start to see more of how the debt is related to affection and attention. Affection and attention, like admiration. And we might be actually like revising what we say about people. Okay, there it is. Okay, about people who actually seek out attention. You might start seeing the positive side of wanting to be desirable, wanting to be more visible, and continuing to move with those notions through life, and seeing how that's actually kind of a breath of fresh air, how it removes you from maybe like an emotionally tumultuous environment for a period of time, is allowing you to just kind of be the person who rewrites what it means to get attention. and how that can be positive. And I want to say this here, especially if this is related to you offering a service. I mean, look at the white roses here on the death card. Like surrendering to what your gift is, surrendering to what is true to you. That's probably when the resources are likely going to start trickling and sprinkling and flooding in, right? And I do think that I really do think that if you hold a much more positive narrative about what it is that you have to offer, first of all, the way to do that is to feel good about what it is that you can do, what it is that you want to present, and then not charging external validation around whether or not it's good, whether or not you're good enough, whether or not you're valuable enough. Because it's really important that we stay locked in to a story that no matter what happens, what we're presenting, you see, it's with the flower again, whether we see it or not, the flower will bloom, and the flower it's going to carry a scent. The flower will still be experienced whether we have done that with our senses or not. And I think that for a lot of us, we are now pushing through, regardless of whether we are received or not, visible or not. And it feels good to not care. It feels good to not care. And that can be a new way to navigate through life. Understanding that there's certain things that come at you, but then assessing, should I really allow that? Like, who am I? The confident version of me. Do I really care about that? Do I have to care about that? You see, the judgment can talking about we're assessing ourselves and how we're responding in our environment in new ways. We know how to also remove ourselves from environments, because expirations, detachments, endings are natural. They're natural. So it's also natural for you to stray from other people's expectations, even the ones that you've been locked onto inside of yourself. I think a lot of us are going to notice that the debt resolution starts with us changing the narrative about what it means to get attention. Because, I mean, the first truth that we can admit is we want it. And that might feel a little icky to sit with for a while. Okay, especially if you've had to manage a lot of other people's attention for a good portion of your life. So you may even be I'll even use disgusted by the idea of like kind of like, you know, feelings or like wanting people to see your pain. But that's natural. But it's not going to feel natural in an environment that's not reciprocal, right? And when we have unwound those stories that say everything that we do has to be, you know, has to have some form of merit. Everything we do has to be assessed. Everything we do, the flower is going to bloom anyways. The flower is going to bloom anyways if you allow it, if you nurture the land and water it, if you give yourself enough attention. If you give yourself enough attention, that makes it much easier for you to walk away. In fact, there's a joke out there that like when I'll use women for this example because it's the Empress here. Is there's a joke out there that's like you can't play with like a woman that's been like really single for a really long time because they have no problems leaving immediately. Like immediately, it's first flag, immediately gone. I feel like if it's not just like, if that doesn't resonate with you personally, I think that's just with like certain ideas, thoughts, beliefs. That's kind of how you're treating it now. It's just like, why would I say that about myself anymore? That's not true. Or, why did that thought even come up? Because I don't even have to be mad at myself. It just came up. I know how my brain works. I know more how the body works. I know how more of anatomy works. I know how more of the systems work, like nervous systems. Because, you know, maybe somatic healing, all this stuff. Maybe even like reading in textbooks, going to classes, really learning more about what it means to have this sensory experience. And now you're allowing yourself to explore what it means to be a multifaceted being. You're allowing yourself to go back to, I feel like, again, the origin point and express yourself, express a dream, and maybe even like hardcore curate your environment. This might be like a rehaul of interior design. Some of you are also You're by yourself for the first time. So this is a chance to start over. You may not have much, but you do notice what is there. The silence, the solitude, the ability to decide for yourself. A lot of you are noticing that even in that emptiness, you're noticing what is there, because listening to yourself is not as threatening when we're holding a narrative that feels good about ourselves. We hold a narrative that continues to believe in us and push through. And it's not about being toxic, that toxic positivity. It's about knowing that this is about navigating, and that you're allowed to not stay put forever. All right? So with that being said, I'm going to end today's reading here. I intend that this was a pause, 20 plus minute pause that allowed for some vitality to be injected into your day. I do see that something brand new, like an idea, can come to you. And if you are really wanting to curate a peaceful environment, do it. I mean, I'm painting my apartment pink, and then I have a theme that's going on. Like another room is going to be a different color, because I'm actually being intentional with this. Okay, this is very incomplete, but I'm being intentional, and I'm making a project out of my home. But it's not surprising when I go in here and do interior design on a daily basis as well. Okay, so you'll notice what you want to start working on when you also notice what you're addressing here, what kind of coherence you're trying to create here. You'll notice outwardly what you also focus on. That, like, please allow this to be the clue, this environment, your world, to be the clue that it is. Okay, one giant ongoing synchronicity. It's fun. It can be an amazing experience, no matter how perceivably bad or horrible the beginning was. This is clearly a new chapter, and what you have to offer, I mean, it might be brand new too, or maybe it's an old offer, but your energy is new. Your energy is new. If you go back to an old job, energy is new. You can be in the same position or a new position. The energy is new. The narrative is new. So as you continue to move through, a lot of good things, a lot of things. You're going to start to see how things start moving out of your way when you get out of the way, right? When you don't hold on to those negative thoughts. You let them be there, like, oh, okay. You see, just being indifferent, not even saying, oh, that's terrible that happens. You just latched onto it. Okay, it happens. My brain has how many thoughts a day? It is my job as the observer to choose which ones I want to focus on. And this could be a daily practice of the flower blooming and closing. And then when it comes time for us to graduate to the next level, that 8 of Cups, then we can allow the flower to wither away and we move into the next season. And then it's just going to happen again. I think we are having much more peace with cycles right now. And some of you, especially when it comes to reproductive cycle, anything related to that, literally experiencing more peace. And I'm glad if there's any, like, hormone therapy, all that, good for you. All right, I'm going to end it there for real. With that, I love you very much. I think this is going to be a very, very rambly season coming up. This Virgo season is going to tear me up, all right? All right, but either way, I love you very much again, and I intend that you felt seen, heard, and if you have any feedback, feel free. I do reply, and I look forward to channeling for you next time. So until then, bye-bye.